So my friend Neil from Moments in the Sky has sent me a video of a review on his new C-Class Merc. I say new, it's 14 years old. But the whole point of the video is actually not to do with a review. It's to check my editing software, which has been causing me an absolute pain for over a year now, with glitches and all sorts of stuff, and that's Premiere Elements 2020. So this is recorded on an iPhone, which is what I do all my recording on. He's sent me some video from a GoPro, I think it's a 10, in 1080 with both 60 and 30 frames per second. So I'm going to put it together and see what happens, because if it works, I'm going to have to get a GoPro. Over to you, Neil.
Hello Neil, hope you're well on this 25-degree day. Unfortunately it's a bit windy, but hopefully the microphone's picking up my voice okay. So before I go any further, this is at 1080 and this is at 60 frames per second, and I'll move to 30 frames per second when we get in the car, because 60 frames always lowers the light a little bit, so it's better to do the lower frame rate in darker situations, otherwise you'd notice a bit of graininess. Hopefully that makes sense. So here is my lovely 2009 C-Class C220 CDi, and I'll show you around. This is the elegant spec, and somebody's just fucking pinged me again. People just won't leave me alone today. So yeah, there you go. Bodywork, as you can see, in really good condition. It's got a few blemishes, as you can see here. We've got this, which might buff out, I guess. That probably will. There were a few things on here which is buffed out before I bought the car, but everything else, you know, the mirrors in very, very good condition, as you can see. The wheels, you know, yeah, they've seen better days. They're a bit curbed, and the Mercedes logo in the middle of all of them is a bit worn, but it's a £5 car. I'm not worried about stuff like that. The other things we know about down here, this little scuff, I might get the body shop to do that. I'm not sure, I don't know. I've got to bear in mind the price, really. Is it really worth it? Would I get it back? Probably not. Might be able to get that touched up, but I don't know. I'm not overly worried about it. But overall, as you can see, bodywork in excellent condition. We got two keys, both of them work, but obviously I've not got both of them with me. We've got power fold mirrors, so you unlock the door, and when you open the door, it says, yep, the mirrors fold out. There we go. So let's not get inside just yet. Let's show you the rear of the car, trying to keep down to 1 minute frames for you, 1 minute sessions for you. So again, we just press the button there, power boot. So car came with the original first aid kit, so I don't know how useful a 14-year-old first aid kit will be. Got the parcel shelf, which just slides out like this, and to pop it back we just drop it like that. And this quite good thing, quite useful thing as well, the cargo net comes actually installed, so that's pretty good. I was quite pleased with that. The boot protector I bought myself, that was just an eBay thing, 50 quid. Actually, we'll pull that across. We've got these little lights everywhere. There's just like these little LEDs, and well, they're not LEDs, they're actual bulbs, but this illuminates at night as well, so you just push that and the boot drops down. But as you can see, there's very little rust on it. The usual places on cars, it's got a bit of rust on one or two of the rear wheel arches. I'll probably get that done, because that's not going to fix itself. Rear wash wipe, and obviously being a fairly old diesel, no AdBlue, unlike the Seat, which does have AdBlue. Right, so we've changed now to 1080 to 30 frames per second, and we'll jump in the car. So as I say, you've got these little red lights on each door. Everything works, it's all good. I've not found anything that doesn't work yet. So we've got the 5-speed automatic gearbox, comfort or sport mode. I generally just drive around in comfort mode, but as you can see, really good condition. We've got cruise control. Let me just start her up so I can get the aircon on, because it is very warm. ago. 23.5 degrees right now, it was 25 a minute ago. Let's just turn that down a little bit just so you can hear what I'm saying. So we've got CarPlay, which, as you know, I just had fitted last week. That just had to go back in yesterday again because it was forgetting what it was doing. I'll turn that off. Yeah, it was forgetting what it was doing because they hadn't connected up a constant power to it for some reason. But it's now fixed, so it's fine. So we've got DAB. So yep, so there we've got CarPlay. Well, you've seen CarPlay, I'm sure, a stack of times. So you've got your music, your phone and all that. DAB, like I say, which I did miss because the original system was quite well, old. It was as old as the car, clearly. Yeah, so we've got climate control, works fine, works very cold, the air conditioning's great. The blanking panel, obviously, because they had to move this button from down here up here when they put the new stereo system in, so that I'd still have that available. That's just to turn off the Parktronic system. What else can I show you? We've got electric windows all round. We've got this nice wood, because this is the elegant spec. We've got electric seats on both sides, memory seats on both sides front. What else have we got? We've got auto lights, we've got auto wipers, we've got obviously the trip computer. So I've done about 1,000 miles or so in it now. 35 to the gallon. That's not since I drove it back from Leicester, that's since the last time I filled it up, and that's just driving around these country roads. So actually, you know, 35's not too bad actually around here. Mileage today as we record is 94,370, and I bought it with about 93,400 I think when I got it. So yeah, about 1,000 miles or so in the last 2 weeks, which have been not too bad, but we'll go into a bit more detail in a moment. So it's got remote central locking, as you've seen, which can be controlled here. The previous woman owner had got some nail varnish or something here, so when I removed that, it actually removed some of the black on the switch, unfortunately. But keep in mind, it's a 14-year-old car, 94,000 miles. I'm not worried about stuff like that. If it was on my brand new Seat, I would be more concerned. So the stereo you can control from here. We've got cruise control, which works. And for the first time ever on a car, I'll try and show this how best I can, we've got an electrically adjustable steering rack. So you just push it down, push it up, and you've got reach and rake, which is electric, which I've never seen before in a car. Never ever seen that before in a car. So let's step outside again. In fact, before we step outside, I'll show you this. So it's got electric, it's got automatic dimming rear view mirror and automatic dimming mirrors. It's got that light thing, so it makes so it dims everything if you've got cars with bright lights behind you, which again, you know, for a car of its age was quite revolutionary, I guess, because really cars didn't have that. Not many cars had that 14 years ago when this was built. Let me show you in the back, because it's in super condition. So as you can see, you know, the seats, I don't think these seats have ever really been used. It was just a one owner car. Again, we've got those little red lights. Pull the armrest down, we've got this rather groovy system set up here. Massively over engineered, of course. But all works. All the windows work, the sound system's really good. In terms of faults, what can I tell you in terms of faults? Not much really so far. As you know, it had the fuel injector issue, which is common on these, which I've had fixed. That was done earlier this week, so we're not getting little spots of diesel, and that's all it was. Little spots of diesel on the driveway, so that's all been sorted. Now this is in 1080/30, remember, still. I didn't change it from when I left the car. So we've got the front fogs, all great, all good, all working fine. Fairly small wheels, fortunately. Not like the 20-inch alloys I've got on the Seat. Just having to wander around fast there with these cars. So yeah, so the tyres will hopefully not be too expensive. And it came from Mercedes-Benz Brooklands, which is the place that serviced it. She even had it MOT'd there as well. Oddly enough, we've got parking sensors all around. So going back to the faults, the only other thing that remains outstanding with it is, and I don't know if I'll ever get to the bottom of it unless the warning light comes back on, is on a morning, and it's only done it twice in the 1,000 miles I've had it, when the engine's cold, I turn it on, it drives okay, it's driving fine, but there's no kick down, and there's no, it's difficult to explain. If I put my foot to the floor, it will accelerate, but it's only using the car's torque to accelerate. It's like it doesn't drop a gear to give me that extra speed. But the strange thing is, once the engine's warmed up to a mile down the road, I turn it off, turn it back on again, and it's fine. And it's got the kick down, it's got everything's fine. It's only done it twice, and I'm wondering if that's related to that lambda sensor which threw up an error light the other day, which I reset. So I'll keep an eye on that. But other than that, it drives absolutely brilliant. And like I said, you've got to bear in mind, this is a £5,000 car. It's not a 50 grand car. It might have been a 30 grand car when it was new, I don't know. But apart from that, it's absolutely brilliant, and I absolutely love it to bits. It has its little foibles on the bodywork and stuff, but stuff that I'm not really worried about. Really what sold it to me was the general condition of it when I bought it, with the full Merc history, one owner. And that's it. That's all I can tell you that I've found that's wrong with it so far. And it is just that intermittent. Like I say, it's only done it twice. It'll probably do it again. You know, these problems don't fix themselves with cars, do they? But let me show you under the bonnet. I think you'll be quite impressed. I am looking forward to bringing it to you to show you it. If we can pull off that thing at the end of the month. So this might get a bit noisier now, because obviously I'm lifting the bonnet up for you. So there you go, let's have a quick look around under the engine bay. So let's just wait for this car to get past. So as you can see here, all very solid there, very solid indeed. Bit of dirt there. Coolant looks good. The pipework looks really good. The mechanic who sorted out the injector issue the other day said it's obviously had a fair bit of money thrown at it. It's had 2 rear springs, genuine Mercedes ones, and it's also had a, I'll pop this back down now, and it's also had a rear, what did he say it was? You can tell I know nothing about cars really. A rear subframe replacement, and that's because Mercedes did that on a recall, because they were basically rusting through very prematurely, and he said that's been replaced quite recently, which is great news. Obviously he said it'll last the lifetime of the car, certainly, but that was done on a Merc recall, so the Mercedes dealers just did it free, and he reckons, you know, that would be about a £1,000 job even at an independent dealer. So what else can I tell you about this magnificent car that I'm really pleased with? I think, you know, the fact that I've driven it for 1,000 miles in 2 weeks that's even worse than the mileage I was putting on the Seat, which was the whole purpose for getting this in the first place, because I was just putting too many miles on the Seat. But as you can see, and I hope you agree, it's in really good condition. So what I'm going to do now is just swap back to 60 frames per second for you. Right, so we are now back in 60 frames per second at 1080. I've stuck in 1080. It goes against all my religious beliefs to drop down to 1080, but I know that's what you like working with. And a lot of people like working with 1080 actually. The file sizes are a lot smaller, well, a quarter of the size of 4K obviously. So there you go, that is my 2009, which will hopefully shortly have a private plate on it, but I'm still umming and ahhing which plate to go for. And it's just great, I love it to bits. You know, it's an old car, it's 14 years old, like I keep saying, things are going to go wrong with it, but because it's in such good condition, within limits, I will just, whatever it needs, I'll just put on it at the moment. There's nothing I can put my finger on. That kickdown problem is just one of those intermittent faults that, unless I ever get to a dealer with the light on, it's the same old thing. The dealers will just say, well, or I dare say even at the Mercs Works place, the guy's just going to say, well look, if it's intermittent, sod's law is it won't do it when I take it into him. And therefore it could be so many different things from what I've read online. But apart from that, yeah, you know what? So what doesn't it have? Well, the one thing that I really like, and it doesn't have it, despite the fact it's got the electric seats, even the headrests are electric on it, doesn't have heated front seats. So I will miss those in the winter, but you can't have everything, and I suppose with these kind of cars you buy on condition really, don't you? But there you go. That is the car, and hopefully this has given you enough to work with. I've tried to keep it to 1 minute clips, but I do prattle on sometimes, as you know. So if that 2 minute clip was just a bit of a problem for you, then apologies. But other than that, yeah, there you go. Let me know how you get on.